In this bulletin, 3 parties suspended. Congo national's murder trial begins. And no increase in electricity rates.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Ateda Lendua.
Registrar of Political Parties Mohamed Sanim this morning suspended Unity Fiji as well as the Freedom Alliance and Hope parties. These political parties have failed to comply with Section 26(2) of the Political Parties Act, which requires that all parties submit audited accounts within 3 months of the end of the financial year. The last date for the submission of these accounts was March 31st, 2021, and FEO says none of these parties have submitted their accounts. It adds, in considering the gravity of the breach, the Registrar of Political Parties has found it fit to suspend Unity Fiji, Freedom Alliance and Hope to protect the public interest. They must remedy the breach within 30 days or they may face deregistration rather. Increasing the electricity tariff was never suggested by Japanese company Seven Pacific, which is buying 44% shares in Energy Fiji Limited. Speaking on Radio Fiji 1's Nanonda Prime Minister program, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama revealed one of their main topics during negotiations was decreasing the cost of operations so that it does not affect the unit cost of electricity. Bainimarama says this will be a huge benefit the energy sector and at the same time benefit landowners. He says the selling of the 44% shares is one of the largest trades ever in the energy sector.
The company will also focus on the further development of renewable energy project and the reduction of emission from fossil fuels. The company Seven Pacific, while working with EFL, will be aware of the development it undertakes to ensure that it does not overexploit our natural resources.
Congo national Kiala Henry Lusaka, who allegedly killed his Australian wife in 2019, pleaded not guilty in High Court this morning. He took his plea through the assistance of an interpreter. 39-year-old Lusaka is charged with 1 count of murder in the death of 44-year-old Jennifer Ann Downs. The alleged incident occurred on July 23, 2019 at their rented home on Service Street in Suva. The first state witness interviewing officer, Laisa Mbedi Yalimaiwai, is currently giving evidence. With their island labeled as the marijuana capital due to multiple police raids and arrests over the years, villagers in Kandavu are facing a daunting task in changing public perception. Traditional leaders have been meeting with the police almost daily to help in the war on drugs, which has been an uphill battle for some time. Tui Nadeva Ratuchona Bainivalu chairs the Wano meetings, and marijuana cultivation tops the agenda every time.
We've been labeled the marijuana island by people from outside, and it's ruining the good reputation of many people on this island. People have stigmatized Kandavu. Nowadays, if you say you're from here, automatically people think you have a marijuana plantation or something like that.
Part of the deed of cession site in Levuka is slowly eroding, a direct consequence of the rising sea levels and recurring storm surges. FBC News visited the site, and it's obvious that more attention is needed to protect the authenticity of this World Heritage Site from the impact of climate change. The degradation is the result of the ever-growing problem of climate change. Levuka Town Council Chief Executive Chosese Rakwita says the scars at the site are evidence of climate change and rising waters having an impact on small nations like Fiji.
We really depend on government and other NGOs for that matter in terms of looking after this infrastructure and operating of maintenance in town.
More than 500 people in Nassau, Mothe in Lao, now face daily struggles to obtain clean water after their water source was destroyed. For decades, villagers have relied on a concrete tank. However, it has now run its course, with the two recent cyclones taking a toll on it. With the tank gone and no source of storage, villagers have been advised to use water wisely. The Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development says they're looking at innovations to address water issues for most of the islands in Laos.
We have teams on the ground, so most of the issues are resolved. The aim is to develop solution papers, really document the critical issues, make sure the statistics are there, population that are affected, what type of water solutions are best.
An Education Ministry initiative recently revealed that some students don't want to go to school because it's too difficult. Speaking with the heads of school at the Ra District Education Symposium, Minister Rosie Akbar highlighted it is important to find the real reasons why the students drop out. Akbar says if students are facing difficulty in any subject, are having poor marks or being bullied, teachers need to understand.
So they move from one district to the other, they leave their parents' home and go and stay with their grandparents. Some have actually ventured out to be on the street. 3 weeks ago, we met up with this group of students who actually have found a home in the streets of Suva.
The minister adds it is the responsibility of every teacher to see what steps they can take to get students back into schools. Land and ocean degradation, resource depletion and climate change are accelerating at an unprecedented rate, causing biodiversity loss. Director for Environment, Sandeep Singh, says this is causing irreversible harm to the environment and aggravating poverty. Singh adds these impacts, unless halted and reversed, will make it impossible to achieve the sustainable development of restoring our biodiversity.
Global trends continue rapidly in the wrong direction. A transformative change is needed. We cannot simply carry on as before.
The Ministry of Environment and stakeholders are working on the post-2020 biodiversity framework that will be discussed at a meeting of the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. Up ahead, new players shine for Naitasiri and major boost for Navua in DPL. Naitasiri introduced some new players in round one of the Skipper Cup on the weekend. For some, it was their first Skipper Cup experience, including our Health Minister's son, Filimoni Wangainambete. Even Naitasiri head coach Dr. Ilaitia Tuisese was pleased with the rookies.
People are leaving every year, and it's also a challenge for us, the coaching staff, to keep breeding those players and exposing them to this level of competition. So I take my hat for them.
And we're grateful that World Rugby has been able to boost our Super Rugby kit for Fiji. So if that opportunity comes, then it'll come. But as for now, we're here for Naitasiri.
Skipper Cup champion Suva will take a closer look at mistakes made in last weekend's match to better their performance. The capital side went down to Nadronga 17-25 in a nail-biting encounter at ANZ Stadium in Suva. Team captain James Brown says the loss is a learning curve and the opening Skipper Cup match will be an eye-opener for most of the players.
Weaknesses from here, what we did wrong here, we'll take it back. We'll work on it and then hopefully come back the second round. We'll clean it up from there.
Navua football has finally defeated Ba in the National League after a lapse of 11 years. The two teams met in the round 5 of the Digicel Premier League at the Uprising Sports Centre in Pacific Harbour yesterday. Both teams were scoreless until the 87th minute when super sub Apisai Smith netted the 1-0 winner. Coach Amit Prakash says it was a crucial win for them.
The experience of Apasai will do the difference in that team. That's what I told Apasai before sending him in, that you need to bring your experience in that team. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on us after losing some games. And then we have beaten Ba in the National League after 11 years.
Fiji-born Severis was instrumental for the Crusaders by scoring the winning try to put the team ahead in the final 20 minutes of their Sunday match. The Hurricanes took a short 27-20 lead before Reese struck back and played a quick ball to run towards the scoreline. Crusaders' George Bridge scored a double in the first 24 minutes of the game. It was a close match as both teams were tied 17-all at halftime. St. George Illawarra's Fijian winger Mikaele Rawalawa scored a try to help humble the Parramatta Eels 26-12 in last night's NRL match. The Dragons handed the Eels their first loss of the season, also stealing their position in the top 4. Here are the highlights.
Fires it out. Dufty's ball and burn is over. Dufty with a kick. What about the skill? Oh, he's tripped over. Remaining. First half, Clune, Dufty, over the top, Ravalawa, the battle of the Fijians in the moment. Merrin went the headlock on Lane, Brown Papali'i, great throw, Clune, back to Dufty.
A weak trough of low pressure remains just to the west of Fiji. Associated cloud and light showers are expected to affect Yasawa and Mamanuca groups till tomorrow. Elsewhere, generally fine. That's FBC News now. Be sure to join us for our newly extended major bulletin at 7 p.m. to 1 hour starting tonight. For news you can trust, get the facts from FBC's TV, radio and digital news at fbcnews.com.fj. Take care and good afternoon.